From Kern Government Television, welcome to this week's Kern County Board of Supervisors meeting, originating from the County Administrative Center located at 1115 Truxtun Avenue, Bakersfield, California. Kern County's vision is to create and maintain a customer-centered county government designed to garner the confidence, support, and trust of the people we serve. Today's Kern County Board of Supervisors meeting will convene momentarily.
Board to reconvene. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Supervisor Gleason?
Here.
Supervisor Scribner?
Here.
Supervisor Maggard?
Here.
Supervisor Couch?
Here.
Supervisor Perez? Here.
Outstanding. We're going to start off this morning with a salute to the flag led by Doris Stevens, a commander of the American Legion Post 711, Kern River Valley. Following he's a Marine Corps veteran. Following the pledge, please remain standing for a moment of prayer, silence, and meditation.
Everyone please stand, put your hand over your heart for the greatest flag in the world. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Consent agendas. Our agendas are on the back of the room. Please grab one so you can follow along with us. We'll start off with a review of our consent agenda. All items listed with the CA above the item number are considered to be routine, non-controversial by county staff. Consent items will be considered first and may be approved by one motion if no member of the board or audience wishes to comment or ask questions. If comment or discussion is desired by anybody, the item will be removed from each consent agenda and will be considered in listed sequence with an opportunity for any member of the public to address the board concerning the item before action is taken. So going through the agenda, we start off on our appointments, items 6 through 8. Under departmental requests, Aging and Adult Services, 11 through 18, Agriculture and Measurement Standards, 19, Airports, 20, Audit Controller, County Clerk, items 22 through 25, County Council, items 27 through 30, Employers Training Resource, 31 and 32, Fire Department is item number 35 has been pulled off consent. So the Fire Department will have on consent items 33, 34, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, Human Services 41 through 44, Mental Health Services 45, Probation 46 through 47, Public Health Services 48 through 52, Sheriff's Department 54 through 59. That's our consent agenda. Does any member of the public, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, item 38, I believe you read that as on consent. It is off consent under Fire Department.
Thank you. 38 is off consent. Any member of the public wish to pull any of these items off the consent agenda? Now's your time.
Number 11 and number 20.
Number 11. And number 20. Anybody else? Bring it back to the board.
Motion on consent.
Please cast your votes.
Motion is approved. All ayes.
Brings us to item number 1, proclaim September as National Disaster Preparedness Month in Kern County. Supervisor Couch.
Motion to the proclamation.
Second. Please cast your votes.
Motion is approved. All ayes.
All right, come on. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, it's my privilege today to present this proclamation to you and turn it over to Barry Falk. He's the Red Cross Executive Director for the Kern and Central Valley chapters. Got some other attendees. Behind me, I'm going to let Barry introduce them to you. But I'm going to talk a little bit about what these folks do. For nearly a century, the American Red Cross has been helping Kern County families recover from disaster. Whether it's from fire or a more global event, the Red Cross is there to provide food, shelter, and hope. And here's a stunning statistic when I read it. In fact, I want you to verify this. Last year, the Red Cross assisted over 56,000 Kern County families. Is that correct? Can that be that many?
I think it possibly could if you count PHSS and a bunch of other stuff we do.
That's unbelievable. So I'm glad I'm using the right numbers here, but that was just a stunning statistic to me. Today, Executive Director Barry Falk is here. He's going to tell us about the Home Fire Preparedness Campaign and how to prepare for emergencies. Now, let me read the proclamation and present that to Barry. Excuse me. It reads, the Board of Supervisors, County of Kern, State of California, has officially proclaimed September 2016 as National Disaster Preparedness Month in Kern County. This recognition has been entered in the official board minutes signed by the Honorable Chairman Mick Gleason and dated today, September 13th, 2016. Barry, take it away.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Well, Supervisor Couch and the rest of the Board of Supervisors, again, just really a pleasure to be with you this morning to really celebrate, I think, not only just 100 years of service, which we're about to enter into for the American Red Cross here in Kern County, but really celebrate September, which is National Preparedness Month. As many of you may know, we are working every day to make sure that we have resilient communities, and the communities here in Kern are, of course, no exception to that. About a year and a half ago, we started something called our National Home Fire Campaign. The campaign has a goal to eliminate or reduce home fire fatalities or injuries by 25% over 5 years. And I'm really pleased this morning to share with you all that over the last year and a half, we've installed nearly 1,000 free smoke alarms for residents here in Kern County, which I think is really making a tremendous dent towards that goal and, of course, making sure that people are as prepared as possible. Preparedness is as simple as making simple choices, right? And so we're every day encouraging folks to create a plan to where they can get out of their house within 2 minutes, to install a smoke alarm, to check their batteries at the right times. It's small decisions that residents here in Kern County and businesses can make that will make a long, big difference, significant difference. And we're really grateful this morning to be celebrating with you. And thank you so much for really your recognition in this. And really the last thing I will say is it's ultimately our volunteers, it's our donors, and it's of course the first responders here in Kern County that make all of this possible. And we're just incredibly privileged to work not only with the County of Kern, but more specifically with the first responders here in Kern County that'll really allow the Red Cross to come alongside them and support their work every day. And so Chief Brian Marshall to of course the number of fire departments here in Kern County really allow us to partner well with them, and we're just really excited to continue to partner with the County of Kern. It's been, as you all know, a very exceptionally busy year in terms of just the Red Cross response on a number of things, but we anticipate really continuing to work with the County of Kern for the next 100 years. Thank you so much for recognizing our Preparedness Month today. I do really quickly, if I could, if you'll let me just introduce who's with me today. Amy Smith is our Major Gifts Officer, and sad to say, it will be leaving the Red Cross and is heading to the Bakersfield Museum of Art effective the end of the month. But she's really served us well over the last couple of years, and we wanted to recognize her this morning. Scott Tibbetts is our Disaster Program Manager serving Kern County, who has been incredibly active in the last two national disaster responses we've had with the Erskine and Chimney fires, and has been working. He came from Kentucky just recently, and we've literally put him straight to work. And so I know, Chairman Gleason, you've got the chance to work with Scott a little bit over the last couple of weeks, and so Scott's doing a terrific job. Cindy Hughey, many of you know, is a longtime volunteer for the Red Cross and also serves as our community volunteer leader. To my right, we have Matt Mendoza, who's actually serving as an intern for the Red Cross this semester and is a student at Bakersfield College. And then Frank Wooldridge is one of our esteemed board members and has been on the board for a couple of years. And so again, supervisors, thank you so much for taking the time to believe in and continue to support and work with the Red Cross. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Falk, if I could just comment from this Erskine fire deal in the Kern River Valley. You and your team have been spectacular from the get-go. From the day that fire broke out to today, your Red Cross team, whether it's comforting people, giving supplies, organizing transit, making logistics work, whatever it is, or giving briefings debriefs on your experiences. Barry, Amy, Scott, and Cindy, thank you very much, and everybody, thank you very much for all you do from Kern River Valley.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, next up is proclaimed Saturday, September 17th, 2016 as Boys and Girls Clubs Day for Kids in Kern County. Supervisor Perez.
Thank you, Chairman. Motion on proclamation.
Second.
Please cast your votes.
Motion is approved. All ayes.
All right, quite a team, very good. It's good to see you again. Hey, it's good to see you. Good to see you, man. Really good, thank you. Good to see you. Hello. Welcome, welcome. Hey, long time no see. Hello there. Good to see you. Very good to see you. Come on over. Quite a team here, Chairman. Good morning, members of the board and Honorable Chairman Gleason. Today it is with great pride and gratitude that we proclaim Saturday, September 17, 2016 as Boys and Girls Club Day for kids in Kern County. Boys and Girls Club of America created Day for Kids as a day to foster relationships between adults and children and to celebrate and honor children through the gift of meaningful and precious time. The Boys and Girls Club emphasizes the importance of interaction with children every day, all year long, but as we celebrate Day for Kids, we are reminded of the true value and significance of our time when spent with children. Research shows that when adults spend meaningful time with kids, it helps them develop a positive self-image and a sense of belonging, usefulness, and real purpose. The programs and activities provided by the Boys and Girls Club here in Kern County are absolutely amazing and vital to the lives of our young people, and this celebration is just another fine example of the work they do. Congratulations to our dear, dear friends and servants at Boys and Girls Club. We wish you much success as you celebrate this Saturday and every day. Board of Supervisors of the County of Kern, State of California, has officially proclaimed September 17, 2016 as Boys and Girls Club's Day for Kids in Kern County. And this recognition has been entered into the official board minutes and signed by our Honorable Chairman, Mick Gleason. It is with a great pleasure and pride that we introduce this to you today. I know you have some folks that you'll be introducing, yes. So the floor is yours.
Great.
Here you are.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. My name is Vanessa Emo, and I am the president of the Board of Directors for the Boys and Girls Clubs of Kern County. So I just wanted to say thank you so much. This particular event this Saturday is going to be amazing. We have a resource fair for the parents. There'll be games and activities for all the children. There'll be snacks available as well. It's just a real opportunity for us to be able to celebrate the children and for the kids and their parents to really get a better idea of everything that we offer and the services that are available for them with the Boys and Girls Clubs of Kern County. I'd also like to say a quick thank you to you for the grant that we received from you to renovate our kitchen. We entered into a new nutrition program with USDA, and we've been able to serve over 17,000 meals a month, providing a little bit of food security for some of the children here in Kern County. So we would not have been able to do that without your assistance, and we do want to say thank you. Thank you so much for that opportunity. At this time, I'd like to introduce the people who are here with me. So we have Zane Smith, our Executive Director or Chief Professional Officer. We have Maggie Kushai, Jason Gutierrez, who's one of our board members, and Erlinda, right? Oh, Anna Martinez, I'm so sorry. Gosh, Anna Martinez with our staff. We have Linda Sullinger and Rob Duco, who's also a member of the Board of Directors. So thank you. Thank you so much for this. Appreciate it.
Pleasure from the center?
Prom style.
Okay, prom style.
Sure.
Great, very good.
David's got a question.
He's got a
Say,
question.
I wanted to ask, I think I just saw something that your longtime employee,
Barry Hill.
Barry, just received a very special honor. And
Thank you for acknowledging that. Yes, he is the Professional of the Year for the Boys and Girls Clubs of America, and so he'll be receiving that honor in Arizona next week.
That's awesome. Thank you very much. Tell him we said hello.
We appreciate that, David. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, proclaim The Big Thirst by Charles Fishman as the 2016 title for one book, one Bakersfield, one Kern. Supervisor Macker.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Please cast your votes.
Motion is approved. All ayes.
Hi, Andy.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good. How are you today?
Good. Chad, come on up close, you guys.
Good morning, colleagues. I have the pleasure of this morning introducing you to The Big Thirst, which is a book written by Charles Fishman, and it is the occasion to introduce you to that book because we are proclaiming that as the official book for One Book, One Bakersfield, One Kern. What that program is, One Book, One Bakersfield, One Kern, is an effort for us to cause our entire community to engage in a discussion about a single topic based upon a single book. And if we engage in that discussion, the hope is that not only will it increase literacy, but it will bond our community together, and we can come up with one vision of how we move forward. This book is perfect for that purpose. I received it in advance. I've read through it, and it has very interesting things. In fact, I think it's something that all of us should read, and I wonder if we should make it one of the tenets of the agreement we have with all the water districts as they develop their GSAs, that they should read it, because it's provocative. It talks about, for example, that water is not, we're in a closed system, and we don't have a water shortage, and it's not promoting climate change. But what it is promoting is, because of weather patterns, water just migrates around the world to different places. And at the moment, we don't have much of it. It'll come back again here probably someday, but we don't have much of it at the moment. So how do you manage it? How do you have a vision for how you're going to use it effectively? It has a couple of interesting aspects, points in it about Las Vegas. Chad here lived in Las Vegas when this very event took place, which is he may talk about that. I might be stealing his thunder. But in Las Vegas, for example, they have a different view towards water than we have. In Las Vegas, every drop of water that goes down a drain, whether it's a drinking fountain at a school, whether it's a mop bucket, whether it's a shower, whether it's a toilet, whether it's just your kitchen sink, every drop of bucket that goes down a drain is captured in Las Vegas, cleaned, and used again. Some of it is used on golf courses. That's a big deal there. But eventually, it goes back into Lake Mead, which in turn is cleaned and drank once again. So just interesting thing. One last thing about the book that I think you'll find interesting. It has the sobering description of what happens to those who are responsible to make the decisions about water when it becomes a dilemma. And it doesn't always bode well for us because we, as the decision makers, are going to make very unpopular decisions that will likely change the way people have access to it and how much they get to use. But it's vital that we do our job. It's a great book, and I enjoyed it, and I look forward to our entire community enjoying it. So I'm joined here by Andy Apple, our Assistant Director of Libraries, and Chad Plummer, who's our program organizer. Which of you is going to receive this?
Oh, I will.
Okay. Sorry. Here you go, Andy. The Board of Supervisors proclaims, on behalf of the County of Kern and the State of California, that The Big Thirst by Charles Fishman is the official book for the 2016 Read for One Book, One Bakersfield, One Kern, evidenced by the signature of our Chairman, the Honorable Mick Gleason, on this the 13th day of September 2016. Thank you for your idea to put this together. Thank you for the choice of the book. Here you go. I'm going to give you back your official book. I'll take my notes out of it from last night. You know, it's hard to read a book and not, I'm a guy that underlines things. It was.
I'd like to give this to him.
It was hard to.
That's your copy.
That's your
Oh, it
copy.
is.
You can have that.
I took my.
You're so passionate about it.
Yeah, okay. Well, okay. I'd like to hear more about it. Come on up.
Absolutely. Well, Supervisor Maggard pretty much summed up everything I was fixing to say, so I'm just not going to say anything, but introduce the gentleman who has been coordinating the event for the library this past year, Mr. Chad Plummer, and I'll let him speak a little bit about the variety of programs and community partners that we have around this very important topic.
I have to adjust the mic.
I'm 5 feet tall.
Yes, greetings to the board and to Mr. Maggard and Mr. Nyland. My name is Chad Plummer, and since the beginning of the year, I have had the honor of being the One Book, One Bakersfield, One Kern project coordinator, taking over from the very big shoes left behind by the project originator, Christy Coons, who we're in our 14th year and our 18th selection. This year's book, camera's hot, The Big Thirst by the appropriately named Charles Fishman, addresses the water issues that we're experiencing both here in the West Coast, in the Midwest, in Florida, places like Australia. Touching on what you said about the agreement with the water agencies, we're actually working with Water Authority of Kern County, Water Agency, and Kern County Water Agency. They're aware of the book. They've read the book. They're actually involved in a couple of our events that are in the flyer that hopefully all of you will get a copy of before I leave here today. We have an incredibly diverse amount of events starting last week, going through the author's visit on October 27th. The author comes to Cal State and speaks at 7 o'clock at the Occardo Center, October 27th. Can't say that enough. We have art programs and community discussions and panel discussions and arts and crafts, and we're at First Friday. We've been at First Friday. We'll be in at First Friday again. There's literally something for everybody, regardless of age, social demographic, geographic location, and I would like to invite the board and as much as the public to come to as many of our events as humanly possible. Thank you.
Thanks, you guys. Congratulations. Read the book.
Mr. Chairman, I'm comforted that this project is being shepherded by a plumber.
Okay, brings us to item number 4. Proclaim September 13th and 19th, 2016 as Air Force Week in Kern County. Supervisor Scribner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Motion to approve.
Second.
Please cast your votes.
Motion is approved. All ayes.
Well, good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Air Force Week is an opportunity to educate our community on the importance of Air Force service and to help them understand the investment that they make in the Air Force and to increase awareness in areas of our county that may not otherwise see the Air Force at work on a regular basis. The U.S. Air Force is vital to the national security of our country and an important element in protecting American citizens and interests overseas. Although the U.S. military purchased its first aircraft in 1909, the official birthday of the U.S. Air Force is September 18th, 1947. Prior to that, the U.S. Air Force did not exist as a separate and independent military service organization. It went through a series of designations: Aeronautical Section, Aviation Section, United States Army Air Service, United States Army Air Corps, and United States Army Air Forces. Kern County is home to many active duty and reserve Air Force personnel, Air Force veterans, families of Air Force veterans, as well as families of Air Force personnel serving throughout the globe. The 412th Test Wing is the host wing for Edwards Air Force Base, most of which is located in my district, the 2nd District of Kern County, and it's the second largest Air Force base in the entire nation. The wing oversees day-to-day base operations and provides support for over 10,000 military, federal, civilian, and contract personnel assigned to a 481 square mile installation. The center's focus today and in the future is summed up in their motto, ad inexplorata, toward the unexplored. Therefore, it's my privilege to declare on behalf of the board September 13th through the 19th, 2016 as Air Force Week in Kern County. I have Dick Taylor here, who's our Director of Kern County Veteran Services, as well as some folks from the Air Force that he's going to introduce for us. So Dick, you want to come on up here? And I know you have a few words to say. So the Board of Supervisors of the County of Kern, State of California, has officially proclaimed September 13th through the 19th, 2016 as Air Force Week in Kern County. This recognition has been entered into our official minutes. It's signed by our Honorable Chairman, Mick Gleason. Dick, thank you so much.
Okay.
You're up.
All right. Thank you, Supervisor Scribner, Chairman Gleason, and honorable board members. I am proudly joined today by two Air Force personnel, Staff Sergeant Trampy and Airman Hernandez, who are with the Bakersfield Recruiting Office on Panama Lane. And many times we joke about inter-service rivalry between the Army and Marine Corps and Navy and Air Force and Coast Guard. But at the end of the day, they all come together to defend this nation and protect American interests overseas. And I am absolutely honored to serve as your County Veteran Service Officer. And with that, I would like to turn the mic over to Staff Sergeant Trampy.
I am Staff Sergeant Trampy. I'm actually the only Air Force recruiter for all of Kern County, so it is my honor to be here. And thank you so much for being willing to spread awareness about the Air Force, because being a one-man team, it is kind of difficult, And this year we've actually put almost 70 Kern County residents into the active duty Air Force. So thank you guys so much for your support. Airman Hernandez is here with me today. She actually just finished basic training and technical training and is off to Alaska here in a few days. And she's from Kern County. So this is a product of what you guys are supporting, and I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Outstanding. Thank you. Thank you for your service.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Thank you for your service. Okay. Good job.
Enjoy Alaska. Good luck. Okay, next up is item number 5, public requests. Request of Kern Medical to provide the hospital's financial position update for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2016. Mr. Judd.
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. It's good to be here today. It's been a while since I've been with you over these last couple of weeks. We have made the transition. Kern Medical is now owned and operated by the Kern County Hospital Authority. We're now live almost 2 months, and it is just over 2 months, and we're moving in the right direction. And I'm pleased today to bring to you the financial report of the fiscal year that ended June 30th, 2016. Of course, that is when Kern Medical was owned and operated by the County of Kern, and then the following day we transferred it to the Kern County Hospital Authority. So I'll review. It's also the month report for the month of June, but I'll focus on the year-end information as it brings that chapter to a close, 100 and almost 50 years through this time as we continue to look forward to the next 150 years, but bring this chapter to a close with this transfer that that happened on June 1st. So we have a couple of slides. This is the income statement, the profit and loss statement, comparing actual to budget. I will focus on the right-hand column, the year-to-date. The third line, item 3, is net patient revenue. You'll see a significant just about 23% increase over budget for net patient revenue of just under $188 million compared to a budget of about $153 million. The significant results, the variation to that came, we have increased volume slightly. That generated more patient revenue. We also have significantly increased some of our managed care rates, as well as doing a much better job of capturing the patient charges and making sure we build those appropriately. The next line item is the funding that we receive from the various government sources. You'll see that they are slightly down. The state and federal government continues to push less money to the safety net sector, and as that continues to shrink, it just puts the additional burden on us that we have to operate more efficiently as well as generate the needed income off patient income. Under operating expenses, you'll see that salaries, benefits, and registry costs, our employee cost, were slightly under budget, about 8.3%. That, of course, is us managing our workforce. We are a service industry. Our biggest cost, as you can see, just about 60% almost, is in our people cost, and we spent an immense amount of effort in managing those costs. The next three items, medical fees, slightly over budget. This is where we capture the money that we paid physicians. We have significantly increased the number of physicians that we have at Kern Medical Center, so that cost goes up. But of course, we recognize the return on that in the significant increase in net patient revenue. We have more physicians, therefore we're able to provide more services. So while it went up $2 million, it probably generated in excess of $20 million for us in additional net patient revenue. Other professional fees, the single largest variance, 81%, that's $8 million. That is significant. The majority of that was all of the costs that were associated in putting together this transition to the authority. The legal fees, the accounting fees, our forensic accountant fees, so many of those that we needed to bring in to make this transition. Supplies were above budget by about 18% for the year, also about $8 million. There's accounting for two of these. First of all, as volume increases, we spend more money on supplies. So that is offset, of course, by that net patient revenue that was generated. In addition, the pharmaceutical industry is going through a lot of changes. We have significantly grown the number of prescriptions that we're doing, and pharmacy costs are a large driver of this. We also are in the midst of settling some 340B pricing structure changes, and that was about a $3 million reserve that we had to put in that line item. Purchase services is just the overall increase as we have to buy more services. As volume increases, you see that increase there. Overall, operating expenses were up about 1.7%. However, the income was up 10.8%, so that gave us to our EBITDA, the earnings before interest, depreciation, and amortization. That's the actual cash that was generated for the organization. Well, we budgeted to be negative about $2.3 million for the year. We actually had a positive of just about $24 million. Net income overall, $17 million compared to a budget of a loss of $7.4 million. The county contribution of $7 million, that was what was going to make us whole last year. We thought from operations we'd be negative about $7 million, and the county contribution would have brought us to that equal amount. But with that county contribution, that brings us net cash to about $24 million for the fiscal year. I'll go to the next slide and then kind of come back and forth. This is the loan balance that trended through the year. As you can see, we began the year of about $5.8 million owed to the county from operations of Kern Medical. That went up and down, hitting a high of $46 million, and we ended the year with having a loan balance of zero. Now, that's made up of a couple of items. Clearly, the county contributed $7 million out of the general fund in cash that limited that general fund. We earned about the $24 million in EBITDA in cash. In addition, additional cash is received by the hospital, but we have a liability that may come in a future element, and so it's difficult sometimes to transfer the actual income statement to cash because they're two different different ways of accounting. But as we transitioned, we had completely eliminated that loan balance. Now, that's over years of work. The county in the prior fiscal year, of course, had taken out about $30 million out of the general fund. That brought that down significantly as we got to this 5.8, and then last year's county contribution, previous fiscal year, was about another $10 million. So between the improved operations of the hospital, the contributions that did come out of the general fund, we're very proud as we made this transfer that Kern Medical owed $0 to the general fund. Today, we continue to see some financial success as we move forward. Today, our cash balance is $24 million, so we have a positive cash balance today of $24 million. Now, that's important to us. Come October, we have to begin making our intergovernmental transfers. On a given day, we'll have to mail to the state government about $30 million to begin making those transfers, so we have to continue to build our cash reserves in anticipation of that. As we look and say, kind of what's happened, this is kind of a chance to look back over the last couple of years of, what we've been able to do at Kern Medical to make these transitions. I would say it's kind of on I don't know, I won't put a number because I may go past that number, but it has been a wonderful working relationship with John and Elsa and the county administrative office and all of that team in finding the right needs of transferring the money from the county. The county has transferred an immense amount of cash to Kern Medical to clear this up. We've also significantly improved operations by controlling our expenses, the number one being the labor cost. Labor cost as a percent of the revenue that we generate continues to decrease as we control that. We also are collecting the money that was owed. I'm a firm believer that if the money is owed to us, we have the right to collect it. When the transition was made, when we arrived just about 3 years ago, the average monthly cash collections from patients at Kern Medical was about $8 million a month. Today, we average about $17 million a month, and that is just by collecting the cash from insurance companies that we were owed, and from the federal and from the state government. So we're happy, we're pleased with the financial results that we had for last year, and I'll stop there and answer any questions.
Any questions? Any questions from the board before I move on? I have one, item number 19 on the first slide. What is our scheduled contribution next year?
So next year, the county contribution will be 3.5, or this year we're in right now, so the next year from this is $3.5 million, and that is funds that are used to care for the indigent. The county has, by law, the responsibility to care for the medically indigent adults, and as we work for formulas and it ties to some realignment dollars, that is the contribution to provide that care.
And that number has been going down for a number of years.
Yes.
To get to that point.
Yes.
Then it'll stabilize at our legal responsibility to provide that support at $3 million.
Yeah, we'll work through the number each year, but that's probably roughly about right. Now, of course, if you have more, we'd be glad to take it.
No, we don't. But thanks. Appreciate it. I just want to make sure everybody in the public understood that. Any comments from the public about this amazing success story? Truly remarkable. Seeing none, I need a motion or any conversation. Yes, please. I'm sorry, I didn't see it.
It's okay. Chairman, thank you. First, congratulations. Remarkable progress, and I know it's been real easy, so that's really the nice part. Right, Mr. Judge?
Absolutely.
Is this where you anticipated you'd be at this time? How are you feeling about the progress, where you anticipated we would be today?
I think, honestly, I didn't anticipate it would go, this quickly. Mm-hmm. I think, as we began, these discussions 3 years ago, it was kind of like, well, in 5 years. In 5 years, we'll know that it either can be saved or we'll have to take another option. Did I think we could turn it around and generate this income in 3 years? Honestly, I didn't. But I think that's also because even with all my involvement in healthcare in the community, I didn't realize what is at Kern Medical. The caliber of physicians we have, the dedicated staff, the great support that comes from the county and its staff. From looking from afar, prior to 3 years ago, I didn't realize what was up there. And so I thought it would take a lot longer. But now that I live it and eat it and sleep it and everything that goes with it, Kern Medical just has an immense to offer the community community, as we strive to help the community, and even more importantly, as we care for those patients, one patient at a time. As wonderful as the financial results are, and you've got to have money to make things operate, more importantly is the care that we give, the lives that we save, everything from the traumas that will come in to the babies that are born, to the lives that we were saved. That's, you can't count that on a spreadsheet, but that's really where the difference is.
Fantastic. Well, I've had the opportunity, as you know, to spend a lot of quality time at Kern Medical over the summer, and I too was completely floored at the level of commitment, dedication, and love by the staff there in multiple departments, and commitment to the goal. I just hadn't experienced it on such a personal level, so it's hard to comprehend it or even imagine what it is like in real life. So I'm really stunned, grateful, and just so pleased by the progress, and your leadership there has made all the difference. So thank you and congratulations, and make a motion to accept and file, or receive and file.
Supervisor Maggard.
Thank you. The financial committee that you guys designated to review these, Supervisor Couch and myself and staff in the hospital, have looked at these financial statements closely, along with the CEO's office, closely every month. We wanted to take the opportunity, as the ball is being handed off to the health authority, to just commend everyone who's been involved in the turnaround of the hospital. Certainly, Mr. Judd and your most competent staff, the staff of the hospital, the employees that stayed the course with us, the CEO's office, and not to overlook the Board of Supervisors. When 3 of my colleagues showed up for work here the first day, Kern Medical was losing $3 million a month. It owed many tens of millions of dollars in back debt to the county and to the state of California. For that to turn into a $24 million annual profit, a zero balance due on that loan, and have over $20 million in the bank is a remarkable turnaround. That only is the case because everyone stayed the course, and not even not just the people here in this room, but the employees of the hospital stayed the course and did not bail. They captured the vision that was cast before them, followed it. I just want to commend all of those people. Congratulations to everybody for what's been involved. We have, and just to point out one last thing, I guess 2 last things. One, it can get a bit better than this still. As we are making it run more and more like it should, and more in a business model, there are still some improvements in our financial results that can result, and we'll look forward to periodic reviews and recaps of how that's going. And the hospital has a very daunting responsibility to have a facility that meets all the state guidelines that will cost many, many millions of dollars to accomplish. So there are challenges still ahead for us, but it is so much better than it was. So our committee wanted to make sure that the board and everybody else received our commendation and congratulations on a job well done. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Maggard. We have a motion to receive and file.
Second.
Please cast your votes.
Thank you.
The motion is approved. All ayes.
Thanks, Judd.
Thank you.
Moving on, number 9, public presentations. This portion of the meeting is reserved for persons to address the board on any matter not on this agenda but under the jurisdiction of the board. Board members may respond briefly to statements made or questions posed. They may ask a question for clarification, make a referral to staff for factual information, or request staff to report back to the board at a later meeting. Also, the board may take action to direct the staff to place a matter of business on a future agenda. Speakers are limited to 2 minutes. Please state and spell your name before making your presentation. Any takers? Ms. Hodson.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman.
Morning.
Members of the board, Mr. Nylon. My name is Della Hodson, D-E-L-L-A-H-O-D-S-O-N. I'm President and CEO of the United Way of Kern County. I want to briefly update you this morning on a situation with fire relief for the folks who were impacted by the Erskine fire. Under an agreement that United Way of Kern County has had with the County of Kern for some 8 to 10 years now, back in July, we activated a giving option for donors who wanted to assist victims of that fire, including and in particular county employees who might have been impacted by that horrible fire. As a result, we raised just about a little over $6,000, $3,500 of which was designated by the donors to assist county employees. United Way of Kern County contributed another $5,000 to the pool and was able to therefore do almost a dollar for dollar match of that giving. With the help from the CAO's office and county staff, we identified, or the county staff identified for us, 11 county employees who were impacted. Those folks suffered losses ranging from a total loss of their homes to some minor damage, or some folks who were temporarily displaced and that sort of thing. To date, we have had conversations with 8 of those employees, 7 of whom we have issued checks to, 1 who said thank you very much, but I'm okay, give my share to somebody else. Those checks range from, as I said, we had $7,000 to work with. The checks range from $250 for those who had very minor losses up to about $1,200 for those who had larger losses. The remaining 3 we are continuing to try to reach so that we can get a thank you, a no thank you, whatever from them. Just real briefly to let you know that we also, and some of you may have seen and heard about this, we also received a gift of about a little over $25,000 from Pizza Hut to assist with long-term recovery from the fire. This was, we are not first responders at United Way. Our good friends from Red Cross who were here earlier do a much better job of that. That's right in their wheelhouse. It's not in ours. What we look at is long-term recovery and how we can contribute to that. So when we received that gift, I reached out to your Office of Emergency Services, and we have now started a conversation about the surplus FEMA mobile homes and what it's going to take to make those livable. And we will be holding on to that gift and working with OES to determine how we can best use those funds, whether it's foundations, septic systems, whatever it might be. And in conversation I've had with Ms. Armstrong, I know that the office is also looking at some private funding that might be available to assist with that. I have indicated to her that United Way is prepared to serve as the fiscal agent for that, should that be necessary. Most private foundations will want a nonprofit to fill that role, and we are willing to fulfill that role. So that brings you up to date, and hopefully we don't see too many more of these things over the next year or so.
Ms. Hudson, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I'm afraid there's a likelihood that we're going to in the years ahead. That's why your continued participation in this recovery at the Erskine fire and the learning curve we're enduring is so important, because we fully anticipate to have urgencies in the near future. So thanks a lot. I appreciate that. The decision will be made by this board on the manufactured housing units on the 27th, I think is when it comes back, when we have already started the program to study it and look at it and come up with recommendations. So you'll know more then, and you're working with Ms. Armstrong is going to be a lot of productive in the very near future. So thank you very much. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Anyone else?
Yes, sir. Darius Stevens, D-A-U-R-E-S, from Kern River Valley, American Legion Post 711. I have packets here prepared for every supervisor and for county council. I have a prepared statement that's pretty much a roadmap of what's in there. And it's disappointing that we have to be here today under these grounds. Good morning, I'm Darius Stevens, commander of American Legion Post 711 in the Kern River Valley. Recently, the president of the American Legion Riders, Mike Burnell, who's with me here, and I were interviewed by a local paper, and we spoke publicly regarding public safety issues in Kern County, and specifically in the Kern River Valley area. We did not agree with Supervisor Gleason's opinion that a 5% cut across the board was a prudent solution regarding public safety. As a result, Supervisor Gleason was interviewed by the same local paper, the Kern Valley Sun. Supervisor Gleason referred to a statement in the article that was never made by me or Mr. Burnell, but said that the statement was naive and dangerous. What is equally troubling is that Supervisors Gleason's Ridgecrest representative, Dennis Klein, wrote an email complaint to American Legion National in Indiana. The same day, Gleason's statements came out in the local paper. Mr. Klein's complaint violated any form of protocol or chain of command. The complaint went past local post, district, and state levels of the American Legion. The main thrust of the complaint was that I said it was the responsibility of the American Legion to stand up for community issues. We do, and will continue to be involved in issues of public safety. Last year, Post 7-Eleven was recognized as Organization of the Year 2015 in the Kern River Valley. At a recent American Legion officers meeting, a vote was unanimous that the actions from Supervisor Gleason's office was to inhibit me and Mr. Burnell from representing the Legion or limit the Legion's ability to represent the citizens and veterans it serves. In closing, we believe we were targeted by a public official for disagreeing with his proposed policies. Despite efforts to discredit or silence us, we publicly affirm our commitment to the communities we serve. That's all I have to say.
Thanks, Stevens.
Yes, sir.
I have a couple of things to say about that. I appreciate you coming in. You can grab a seat.
Yes, sir.
First of all, it wasn't my vote for the 5% reduction in public safety. It was this board's vote, 5% reduction in public safety. Secondly, I had no knowledge whatsoever of Mr. Klein's letter to the American Legion. Thirdly, several members of Post 7-Eleven came up to me and visibly upset that they felt that they were being misrepresented by statements you had made in the public, and that was after, a couple weeks after your statement in the newspaper. So it wasn't me who sent the letter. I had no idea the letter was sent, but I did have comments from your membership that, that betrayed a concern that they were being misrepresented by the American Legion.
Well, you see who's going to speak today.
Okay. Moving on. Any other public presentations? Seeing none, we'll move to the board for board member announcements. Oh, sorry.
I don't think I was going to talk. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Michael Turnipseed representing the Kern County Taxpayers Association. Addressing Kern County's new normal is a significant challenge, to say the least, and we made the proposal a few weeks ago about adopting a performance audit program, and I want to address that today. First, a little background. I've been involved with school bonds since I've taken over Kern Tax, and I sit as chair of the California League of Bond Oversight Committees. We've been looking at performance audits and how they're done with school bonds since 2008. Last June in 15, I had the opportunity to address the Treasurer's Task Force on Bond Accountability in San Francisco. Next week, I will be addressing the Little Hoover Commission in Sacramento on best practices and performance oversight. And so I know a little bit about it, not an expert, but I want to talk about where we're going with this and like to make a few suggestions. First of all, I think it's very important that if you have a performance audit team, it comes right back to you. It needs to be independent, and we see potentially today, because the CAO is getting another department under his umbrella, that it's going to be hard if he does the audit to audit his own departments. And we think it's important that the performance audit team report to your board's audit committee, which includes the CAO and the treasurer and the other members. We think that's important. That the board select the team, the board work with the team to help the board accomplish their goals. And we think the team, after talking to some people around the county for the last couple weeks, should really have 4 people with the financial statement, internal auditing capability, public accounting, auditing. And when I talked to people and I said, who would you like to see? Certain names came up to be on this committee that everybody seems to like and trust. And a name that continually came up, and we'll recommend that he should be considered. There's other people I'm sure you're going to consider, but Tony Jones from the current auditor is high on the list for everybody.
When we got to the issue of compliance and internal controls, a name from the CAO's office came up, somebody with public accounting and auditing experience, and that was Katrina Balbuena. These are people I don't know, but these names come up, so I'm presenting them because I trust the people that provide me information within the county. Third one came up with the idea of information technology because that's an important aspect to all this. And two names came up, Leanne Herron and Eric Mansfield. So I hope you give them every consideration in this process and that you do handle the process. And in doing research, I've been on the net looking. Orange County back in 2008 has adopted basically the same thing we're looking at doing here. Their committee, the Office of Performance Audit Director, reports directly to the board, and I've included in my packet their audit process, how they conduct theirs, past audit reports. I've also got how the state auditor conducts their audit reports, and from the federal government, an article from the AICPA on performance audit working with GAGAS in the Yellow Book. So there's information here. I think this is critical, and there's one chance to get it right. So we don't have to reinvent the wheel if there's successful programs other places. If there aren't any questions, I just thank you for your time.
Did you drop those names off, Mr. Termsey? Do we have those names?
You have those names.
Okay, thanks, sir.
I mean, that was, their names kept popping up, and I've never met any of them, so I have relatively clean hands, but their reputations are stellar.
Is that what you gave us this morning?
Yes, right on the front page. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Supervisor Gleason, members of the board, my name is Lauren Skidmore with Kern Citizens for Sustainable Government. There seems to be a little bit of pushback from the District Attorney's Office, Sheriff's Department, and numerous public safety supporters on your adopted 5% budget cuts. On behalf of all board members of Kern Citizens for Sustainable Government, we would like to support you on your adopted cuts, and we would like to see all departments spend this time to identify solutions for their departments. These cuts are not meant to demean a department. These cuts are the reality of the economic times. We say this over and over again, but we believe that there are processes out there that could assist in ensuring solutions-based thinking, like lean process. And if you talk with Gene Boylan, who implemented lean processes at Era Energy, or even Mr. Walker from Mental Health, these processes are ensuring success, long-term success. These are practices both businesses and governments can thrive from. So I want to thank you for your time, thank you for your courage on the adopted budget, and we would like to see you move forward and drive solutions. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Mayer.
Thank you. I think I had to correct something because it's been said twice this morning, and if you don't correct an error, it is repeated over and over and over again. The amount that we cut the Sheriff's Department was not 5%. It initially was scheduled to be 5%. We gave them back money for an academy. We gave them money through CDBG to put 4 or 5 deputies back on the street. It ends up being, and I'm going to use a general number, but I'd like you to give us a real number, Mr. Nylon, if you could, so we could use it going forward. But the real number that the Sheriff's Department was cut was something around 3%, 2.6, something like that, I think.
And Supervisor Mayor, through the chair, I don't have that specific number, but I think you're close to that. And the board also provided $1.5 million in a contingency for paying for certain activities that were going to be cut out of the budget. And part of that is the CDBG money. So it's in total quite a sum of money that's being included in the sheriff's budget, or at least so the sheriff could access.
And I'm not trying to be nitpicky, but it's important that we use the right numbers because there's a public perception that something was done that wasn't done. And it's important that the fact that it moved from 5% to a lower number is evidence of the priority that this board places on public safety, which is the primary argument that those that are opposing it are trying to say that we don't have the priority. So I'd appreciate you giving us a precise number for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Maggard. Yes, sir.
Good morning, Chairman Gleason and Board of Supervisors. My name is J.P. Lake, J.P. L-A-K-E. I'm a businessman, fourth generation family businessman in this community. I just wanted to also voice a note of encouragement and support for your ability to make a tough decision in tough times regarding our budget. We all know in this community that fiscally and economically these are indeed challenging times.
I think it's important to remember that we can accomplish more when we work together, and so I want to encourage all the county departments to remember that we're in this boat together, and we all need to row in the same direction. And when we think about our own personal lives, many of us, when it comes around to New Year's, we say, I'm going to go on a diet. And we know that most of us start with that idea of 2,000 calories in our mind as our average daily intake. 5%, if that was the number across the board, I understand now that it's not, is 100 calories. That's one soda. I think we can all cut one soda out of our daily lives. Even with the cuts, my understanding based on the information that's available on the county website through the OpenGov platform, that we really appreciate the transparency provided therein, is that in the new budget, the funding will still be 15% above where the sheriff's office was back in 2010 and 11, and for the DA's office, 23% above where it was in 2010 and 2011. Meanwhile, other important departments, and they're all important, but one that caught my eye was Child Support Services over the last 5 years has actually seen their budget decrease by $1 million, and I would assume that they've had to take an additional cut as part of this year's process. So again, I just want to commend the board for making tough decisions in tough times. Let's all row in the same direction because we're all in this together. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. Anybody else? Seeing none, we'll close the public presentations, bring it back to board member announcements. I have one. I'll try to make it as quick as I can. Speaking of rowing in the same direction, I think something critically important happened here 2 weeks ago when we went through this budget process, and I'd like to give my perspective on it in a more clear fashion. It was a tough budget cycle. A lot of things were said, and I agreed with some of them. Some I didn't agree with. Some I misrepresented inadvertently where I was in my position. But I just want to take a moment to applaud all the departments and all the CAO staff for everything we did to get through a very difficult budget process with the least impact to county services. So we all fight and we all get to where we need to go to, understanding that the taxpayer is the person who needs the benefit of our discussions and our hard work. We have, before that, we approved a preliminary spending plan which amortized a 15% reduction in county services over a period of 4 years. Theoretically, it was just a notional idea that laid out a possibility of us managing our budget to, which included cuts 4 straight years in a row. This year, we achieved about a third of the cuts. Out of a 15% reduction, we managed to reduce our expenditures by about 5%, which was a significant accomplishment. But it leaves a lot of work to be done in the future. And in order to avoid what happened this past year, or to minimize it, we have an idea, a concept. We also approved of fiscal improvement teams going around through the year and inserting themselves into county departments to find, in a proactive fashion, to find efficiencies rather than just horizontal cuts across the board. The reason we're doing that is because next year, just as an example, I'm not picking on anybody, I'm just saying what's coming to my mind. For example, the sheriff may come to the board and says he wants a fleet of cars. He needs new cars, and he does. And there are cars that the CAO's office says cost more than he says they cost. So there's an issue going on there. He's saying that they have armored plating doors, and he's the sheriff. He's been doing this job for 35 years. He knows more about law enforcement than the 5 of us put together. He knows what it takes to keep his patrol officers safe, and that's his recommendation. And he's right. He's absolutely right. The library could come to us and say, I have an elderly clientele. I need these glass electric doors so these people can get into my library more efficiently and access library services. I've been a librarian for 20 years. I'm the best in the business, and she is, along with the sheriff. And I know what my clientele needs. I know what I need to deliver quality county services. And she's right. Then the Board of Supervisors are going to come into the fray, and we're going to say, no. We got no money. and we're right. So kaboom, just like we saw this year in some of our departments. So in order to avoid that, to minimize that to the maximum extent possible, we assigned a committee headed up by Supervisor Couch and myself 2 weeks ago, which are going to create these fiscal improvement teams that are going to go into our county departments in a proactive fashion and look for ways to find efficiencies. And I haven't discussed this with Supervisor Couch, but my paradigm of this is we're going to have some in-house folks that we select be members of this performance team. And before they go into, for example, pick on you, Nancy, because you're sitting there and you're looking so happy. Before we go into the library to discuss, your department, let's say we schedule it from January 1st. Well, sometime in December, our team would meet with you and your leadership team and discuss what you want to do, what efficiencies you're looking forward for, and take that into the conversation along with efficiencies they believe that the books show, and together, under the auspices of your leadership, this team is going to be able to go in and find out, in your timeline, and find out how they can discover these efficiencies and look for ways to find efficiencies that you know about, or maybe some you don't even know about, because that's probably why they're there, because you don't know about it. It's not an effort for the Board of Supervisors or the CAO's office to micromanage our departments. It's a way for us to find this additional 10% cut that we need to make. And it's a way to proactively build a relationship with those departments under your leadership that's going to help us find those efficiencies. So this whole spiel is nice and pretty, but it's all about trying to ensure that we get buy-in. We need buy-in from the department heads. We need you to understand what we're doing, where we're going, and we need you to lead us to the places where we can go. So at the end of the day, we have a sheriff who says, I'm the best law enforcement, he's right, we recognize it, and we make sure he's got the tools he needs. You're the best librarian, we're gonna give you the best tools that we can possibly give you. So a long story, but that's the purpose of these fiscal improvement teams. I hope that, I know you had a department head meeting last week, I hope that you department heads consider it. I hope you department heads favorably consider it. I hope you embrace it. I hope you jump in both feet, and let's see what we can do. We've already had the conversation, Mr. Turnipseed mentioned about the possibility of moving the parks. That decision hasn't been made yet. We're going to have that conversation this afternoon. If that happens, that will just be another step on our journey to fiscal responsibility and discovering those 10%. So that's what I wanted to say. Anybody else? Okay, seeing none for the board member announcements? I hear something, okay. Move us to item number 11, request for approval of expenditure of funds for employee recognition through June 30th, 2017 in an amount not to exceed $1,510. Mr. Fluhart, I believe you pulled this off. And I also believe, Mr. Fluhart, you pulled another one off, so let's do both of them at the same time. Can we do that? The other one you pulled off was item number, what? What was it?
20.
Item 20, proposed contract number 16017 with Griffith Company for Meadowsfield Airport runway 12 left, 30 right rehabilitation phase 2 project in an amount not to exceed $13,499,431. Mr. Fluhart.
Yes, good morning, Board. David Fluhart, Havilah, 1st District. Number 11, employee recognition. 2 weeks ago, we had a really passionate discussion about what to cut, what to cut versus a argument that we don't want to become a cold, faceless bureaucracy. And I wanted to, just 2 weeks after the issue, recognizing good employees and their efforts is a good idea, and you guys have decided to follow that aspect of rewarding effort, and I appreciate that, and I think your employees will appreciate that, and that's a tough decision to make while it's getting blasted from one side or another, but I like the idea. And the second one, airports. I always pick on airports. To me, they're the future. I'm excited about them. I like airplanes. I like everything about them. And And today, I guess we get to finally sign the paperwork that paves or repaves or rehabilitates that landing strip. And it's been coming and going, and I've been picking on this issue for a while. I just want to say I'm happy it's coming to an end, and they're going to lay the pavement. And that's about it, just real quick, and thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Palat. Mr. Councilman, do you have, I see your name flashed up here? Oh, Mr. Mallon.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, as much as I like speaking for council, I'll be representing myself now. This is just in response to Supervisor Maggart's question. My staff did get back to me, and he was correct. It was about a 2.6% reduction. And I also like to clarify Mr. Lake's comments. He talked about the Department of Child Support receiving reductions. The Department of Child Support receives no general fund. Their money is strictly from the federal and state government, so the reductions are based on decisions made outside of this chamber.
Thank you, sir. Let's go back to item number 11. Any thoughts? Let's open to the public for public comment on items number 11 and items number 20. I think we need 2 independent votes, so let's do a vote or bring back the board for consideration on item number 11.
Motion to approve item number 11.
Second.
Please cast your votes. Bring it back to the board for item number 20.
Motion to approve.
Wait, everybody has to vote. Supervisor Perez, I need you to vote. Thank you. The motion is approved on item number 11. All ayes.
Motion to approve item number 20.
Second.
Please cast your votes.
Motion is approved. All ayes.
Okay, that brings us to item number 21, under Auditor, Controller, County Clerk. Audit report of the examination of internal controls of the Kern Medical Center's accounts payable balance for the month ending February 29th, 2016. Ms. Bedard.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Tony Jones, our senior auditor, will present our report.
Good morning, Chairman and members of the board. The auditor's examination report before you this morning is regarding the internal controls over Kern Medical's accounts payable balance as of February 29th, 2016. As you can see from the transmittal summary, the internal controls over the accounts payable process are considered adequate, except for the recommendations as noted in the examination report. This concludes my presentation. I am available for any questions you may have.
Thanks, sir.
Thanks.
You done, Mary? Ms. Bennett, you done? Okay. Let's open that for public comment. Seeing nobody from the public coming forward, we'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the board for a motion to receive and file or discussion.
I'll move receiving and filing.
We have a motion.
Second.
Please cast your votes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Supervisor Perez, I preempted you. Your motion is to approve? Yes. All right. The motion is approved. All ayes.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Bedard. Brings us to item number 26 on the County Council response to August 9, 2016 board referral regarding policy recommendations, transfer parade application approval authority from the Board of Supervisors to the Sheriff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Deputy County Counsel Brian Van Wyk has prepared a brief presentation on this, and I'll turn the mic over to him.
Good morning. County ordinance currently provides that the sheriff review any parade applications and make a recommendation to your board for a decision. In response to your board's referral, we have researched this issue, and we've determined that your board may delegate approval of parade permit applications to the sheriff, since it's a ministerial duty based on clearly defined rules. We recommend that your board allow applicants the right to appeal any denied decisions to your board. If you so direct, we'll bring forth an ordinance that makes these changes to the county ordinance code. Please feel free to let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Seeing none, we'll bring it to the public for a public hearing. Anybody in the public wishing to comment on this agenda item? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and bring it to the board.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir. Mr. Couch.
Thank you for bringing this back so quickly, and if all you need is direction, or do you need a motion?
We need direction from your board.
Okay, I would concur with your recommendation and ask you to proceed exactly as described, allowing for the appeal process as well. And ask if there's anyone that disagrees with that. By the way, this would also, we would never again get an, what do they call it? Retroactive parade request, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you.
Second the motion.
We have a motion, a second. Please cast your votes.
The motion is approved, all ayes.
Okay, that brings us to item number 35, under the Fire Department. Proposed standard indemnity agreement for right of entry permit for a fire department to access to private property for tree mortality program.
Chairman Gleason, members of the board, good morning. Tree mortality. 5 years of drought and the bark beetle has devastated our wildland areas. Millions of trees are dead across not only Kern County, but across the state. And this summer, we've seen devastating wildland fires in our county, and tree mortality played a big role in the Cedar Fire. Veteran firefighters who were on that fire described it as fire behavior that they hadn't seen in their entire careers. The fire was very persistent as it moved through the tree mortality areas. Here in Kern County, we have a tree mortality task force that is actively working together. This is different agencies that have come together to help remove the dead trees across the county. And it's important that we get them down. No matter how much rain and snow that we get this winter, the trees are still dead and present a significant fire hazard. As we work through this process, we've developed, in cooperation with County Council, a right to entry permit, and Deputy Chief Brent Moon is going to give you an update on our tree mortality and right to entry permit. Chief Moon. Chief.
Sorry. Chairman Gleason, members of the board, this right to enter permit, we're asking for your approval for this to go out to the public. With the proclamation, emergency proclamation from the governor last year, Kern County was identified as one of the 10 counties with the tree mortality problem. We developed a tree mortality task force for Kern County with its agents and local parties. The task force has been assembled to develop a plan for removing the dead and dying trees within Kern County that affect our infrastructure. The coordination efforts have come together to secure grant funding to minimize the threats in infrastructure. To date, we've received $384,000 in these efforts, which has been the beginning of a long journey that we have ahead of us. We are also working to provide information for landowners for financial assistance for tree removal and in the future replanting. We are implementing the tree mortality right to enter permit for private property. This is a template that we have from the state. We've taken this template to County Council, which has reviewed and approved it. You have a copy of it before you. It's a 3-page document. We're going to make the hard copy and digital copies available for landowners to review. We'll be identifying work project areas and making these permits available for people. When they have completed a permit and fully executed it, these properties would be able to be worked into the project and receive the benefits of these projects. To make this permit available to people and make it our tree mortality message as it's developed and information, we're using our Kern County website, the kerncountyfire.org website. People can go to that website and go to hazard info, and there's a tree mortality tab that will be updated on a regular basis with this form and other information as it becomes developed. We'll continue to identify our tree problem and make maps where these issues are and seek resources for funding and for assistance in mitigating the hazards where we can. We'll be working with different agencies such as federal government, the Forest Service, BLM, our fire safe councils to reach out to the public, utility companies, and other cooperators to deal with the safety hazards that the tree mortality problem has created. That's all I have.
Chairman Gleason, members of the board, that concludes our presentation. Therefore, it's recommended that your board approve the attached standard indemnification agreement, the County of Kern Fire Department right to enter permit tree mortality emergency program, and authorize the fire chief or his designee to sign. We're available to answer any questions your board may have.
Thank you, Chief. Let's open the public hearing. Any thoughts from the public? Seeing none, we'll close it and bring it back to the board.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move approval, and I appreciate the efforts from the fire department and all the other agencies within the county and throughout the state that are assisting with this.
Second.
Please cast your votes.
Motion is approved, all ayes.
Thank you. Brings us to item number 38, request to appropriate unanticipated revenue in the amount of $306,366 from the Emergency Management Performance Grant, requiring a dollar-for-dollar local match for the purchase of various emergency equipment. Chief Marshal.
Chairman Gleason, members of the board, as we just concluded the last item, disasters occur in Kern County, unfortunately, all too frequently. The wildfires tend to be the most dramatic of these disasters, but we also last summer faced widespread devastating flash floods across the county, and now with the wildland fires that we've had this summer, we expect more flash floods to occur in our mountain areas, in our communities that are below the wildland burn areas. We also face other disasters such as earthquakes. Preparedness is the key to making sure our county is ready to respond and survive a disaster, and then we're able to recover from it. Emergency Management Performance Grants are grants put out by Homeland Security, and they're managed through the California Office of Emergency Services. In July, we went to your board to receive approval to submit an application for these EMPG grants, and we were awarded a grant of $306,366 on August 24th. We use these grants in several different ways, again, to make sure your county, our county, is ready to respond. As part of our grant process, we need to come before your board to put unanticipated revenue into our accounts so we can begin expenditures, and one item is a fixed asset. Let me talk a little bit about some of the projects that we're working on. We plan on spending $32,000 to continue phase 2 of our continuity of government plan project. That's a mandated plan, and we need to be ready in case we have a large disaster to put the county back in operation. We've already went through the phase 1, and it's the Fire Department, Office of Emergency Services, and General Services that are managing this grant. We're also working with the Kern County Emergency Council, but we've identified single points of failure that certain departments, if they're shut down, it could impact county operations. That includes ITS and auditor controller. So we will be spending $32,000 to get the second phase going on the continuity operation plan. We're spending nearly $50,000 on our EOC equipment and system maintenance, and that is the hub of our disaster response. Our Emergency Operations Center brings together county staff working 24 hours a day to assist in the management of the disasters across the county. A single point of failure in our EOC could be disastrous in our emergency response. We're also spending $36,000 in a security equipment upgrade at the Whiting Center. That's where ITS, Fire and Sheriff Dispatch, and County Communications. That's absolutely critical that we have the security necessary due to confidential information that is maintained with the Sheriff's Department. The County of Kern uses Citizen Emergency Response Teams, CERT, to help us respond to our incidents. We will fund $5,000 to perform background checks on the members of the CERT team to make sure that these volunteers are screened. They're trained now. We want to make sure that they are screened and ready to respond to assist us in an emergency. We're also spending $43,000 for access and functional needs, planning and preparation. This will fund one extra help program specialist to assist us on the development and improvement of emergency planning and response for persons with access and functional needs. And we saw this type of impact to our citizens during the Erskine fire. We absolutely have to be prepared. We're also spending $71,000 to hire 2 program specialists to work on emergency preparedness. Not only the access and functional needs, but again, going back to the Erskine fire, we can do a better job in preparing our citizens for a disaster and emergency. During the Erskine fire, people evacuated immediately, and they took nothing. Medications became an extreme problem for people who relied on medicine. We want to make sure our people are educated on what to do if they're forced to evacuate from a fire or some other disaster. These 2 program specialists will be working with the community during community outreach and disaster preparation activities to make sure not only people in the Kern River Valley, but across the county are ready to respond in an emergency. And we do have nearly $40,000 for this project to help fund critical information. And the last part of this grant, a little over $30,000, will be used for emergency management training. We use a program called Web EOC to manage our disaster response in our EOC. We have to maintain it, continually upgrade it, and make sure it's ready to go. It's not only used by the EOC, but all the department operations centers, so we can communicate and, most importantly, track our resources, track our activities, which are important when we do receive state or federal reimbursement. So a lot of projects will be used during this EMPG grant. We've received this grant for several years, and we've averaged about $350,000 over the last 5 years to fund emergency response in our county. Therefore, it's recommended that your board approve the appropriations of unanticipated revenue in the amount of $306,366 in Budget Unit 2415. Authorize the auditor controller to process the specified budgetary adjustments and accounting transactions. Approve establishment of a capital asset to purchase 1 computer server in account number 8655 in the amount not to exceed $14,000, and authorize the transfer of capital assets to other departments as appropriate. That concludes my presentation, and staff is available to answer any questions your board may have.
Thanks, Chief. Appreciate it. Seeing no immediate questions, we'll open the public hearing. We'll close the public hearing. I haven't seen any response. We'll bring it back to the board for a comment and question.
I'll move staff's recommendation.
Second.
I got a question before we vote. Where'd you get the $306,000 matching funds?
Chairman Gleason, we use our salaries and benefit cost of our employees that work in the EOC as our matching funds.
Thank you, sir. Please cast your votes.
Motion is approved. All ayes.
Thanks, Chief. That brings us to item number 53 under Public Health Services. Proposed new classification of Assistant Director of Public Health Services, salary range 73.5, and addition of one Assistant Director of Public Health position effective September 13, 2016 in Budget Unit 4110. Deletion of one Director of Emergency Medical Services position effective September 13, 2016 in Budget Unit 4200. And deletion of one Public Health Deputy Director position effective January 1st, 2017 in Budget Unit 4110 at an annual savings of $122,423. Mr. Constantine.
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Chairman. The item before you is, as you just stated, a request to delete 2 management positions, the Director of Emergency Medical Services and the Public Health Deputy Director, and to add an Assistant Director of Public Health. This action will result in an ongoing annual savings of more than $120,000. Consistent with your board's direction and due to the county's declared fiscal emergency, the department continues to evaluate all opportunities to reduce expenditures, to merge functions, and to provide the most efficient delivery of services. With your board's approval, the department anticipates bringing forward other position change in the future that will result in additional further sustained savings. Mr. Chairman, that concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Constantine. Seeing none immediate, I'll open the public hearing for your thoughts. Seeing no public comment, I'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the board for comment and a question and a vote.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir. Mr. Couch.
Thank you. This is exactly the type of thing that I know you have been doing in the last few years, and it continues. And I know you're going to bring back additional action in a few weeks, but one of these weeks, could you show us sort of the history of what your department has gone through when you reorganized and the savings that you've been able to realize from that?
Will do, of course.
Thank you. And motion on the recommendation.
Supervisor Perez.
Thank you. I just wanted to say thanks for your creativity and hard work. Second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Please cast your votes.
Motion is approved. All ayes.
That brings us to item number 60. Under the Treasurer Tax Collector, proposed increase in debit card service fees. Mr. Kaufman.
On? Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the board, good morning. I have with me the Assistant Treasurer and Tax Collector, Chase Nunley, as well, to answer any questions. The item before you is a proposed increase in debit card fees for tax payments. And as a little bit of background on this item, beginning in 1994, my office began accepting credit card payments for property taxes. In 2005, the Board of Supervisors approved a 2% service fee for all tax payment credit card transactions in order to recover the fees charged to the office by the credit card companies. Subsequent to 2005, Visa introduced the Visa debit card that prohibited a percentage-based service fee and instead required that the service fee for Visa debit cards be a flat rate that could not exceed $3.95. This fee limit only applied to certain types of Visa debit cards and not MasterCard debit cards or any other brand of debit card. This has caused some confusion with debit card users about whether they will have to pay a flat fee or a percentage-based fee. Additionally, due to shifts in taxpayer payment behavior and only charging the $3.95 per transaction for Visa debit cards, the office has paid the credit card companies nearly $47,000 more than it has collected in fees over the past 5 years, effectively subsidizing the cost of accepting card payments with general fund dollars. In fiscal year 15-16 alone, the office paid nearly $18,000 more to the credit card companies than was recovered through fees. So then in 2012, Visa eliminated the $3.95 fee requirement for Visa debit cards and now allows for percentage-based fees. Until now, my office has chosen to continue that $3.95 fee limit to encourage debit card usage. However, due to the significant budgetary constraints that we are in, and in an effort to reduce any confusion of taxpayers regarding fees, I am proposing to change the fee structure so that all credit cards and all debit cards will be charged the same 2% fee. I would be recommending that this take effect no earlier than October 1st, 2016. Potentially a little bit later than that date, though, depending on how quickly we can implement the change in our cashiering and online systems. It is anticipated that this change will eliminate the general fund subsidy my office has been paying for credit card transactions. So it's very important to note that ACH or electronic check transactions made on our online system will remain free to taxpayers with no associated fees. And I really can't stress that point enough. There is a free, no cost, no charge option to pay online, and that is with an e-check. And essentially, it's sort of the same thing as a debit card. The debit card is just a little bit more convenient to pull out your card and put that number in versus actually going to find your checkbook and putting your bank account statement, routing number, and account number online. So I just want to make sure that your board and the public understands that there is, always has been, and will continue to be a free option to pay online. So I also recently conducted a survey of credit card fees with other California county treasurers and tax collectors. 30 counties responded, and every other county has set their fee between 2.19 and 3.5%. So Kern County at 2% is the lowest fee in the state of all the counties that responded. Additionally, about half of the counties that responded have already changed their debit card fee to match their credit card fee, similar to the change that is being recommended today. If this item is approved, I will make sure that the public is well aware of this change. I will include this information in my press release, as well as making sure that the information is online, not just in the payment portions, but on our homepage to make sure that that information is out there. And with that, it is recommended that your board approve a change in the service fee for qualifying debit cards from a flat rate of $3.95 to a percentage-based fee of 2% of the transaction amount to be consistent with all other debit card and credit card service fees. And that concludes my presentation, and Chase and I are happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you, Mr. Kaufman. I see no immediate questions. Supervisor President, do you have one, or you want to wait till after the public hearing?
That was from the previous.
I'm sorry. Okay, let's open the public hearing for any thoughts. Yes, ma'am.
Lauren Skidmore with Kern Citizens for Sustainable Government. I just wanted to commend Treasurer Tax Collector Kaufman for, one, reaching out to us and providing us this information ahead of time, so we were prepared to work with him on answering any of our questions, and also commend him for identifying this as a problem for his department. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the board for comment.
Motion to approve Mr. Kaufman's recommendation.
Second.
Please cast your votes.
Motion is approved. All ayes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kaufman. Brings us to the end, to adjourn to closed session.
Motion to adjourn.
you.